29 January. The UK Parliament has taken the extraordinary meeting of voting to revoke their royal titles and them to ordinary citizen status. When Prince Harry and Meghan Markle walked away from their royal duties, the world saw a personal choice. Over the years, their repeated use of royal styling, diplomatic privileges, and commercial leverage blurred the lines between independent lives and crown representation. From exit agreements meant to separate them from official royal duty to HR titles showing up in private invitations, diplomatic paperwork, and merch campaigns. Before we continue, please kindly subscribe. We are on a journey to reach 1,000 subscribers, and we're counting on you. Like, comment, and hit on the notification bell. Their actions didn't just defy expectations, they reshaped the constitutional debate over what it means to be royal in the 21st century. This development comes amid intense public scrutiny and continuing controversy over the couple's use of royal styling and their commercial activities since stepping back from royal duties. While no official act of Parliament has yet stripped Harry or Meghan of any title, sources close to government discussions indicate that legislation, such as the Removal of Titles Bill, is under renewed consideration, giving either the monarch or a parliamentary committee the power to revoke royal titles from non-working royals. Early rumors of dramatic votes circulating on social media are not confirmed by official records. Legal experts note that such viral claims have been debunked by fact-checking organizations. Harry and Meghan retain the Dukedom of Sussex and associated peerages titles granted by Queen Elizabeth II in 2018, and technically they remain Duke and Duchess of Sussex, as well as Prince and Princess by birthright. Although they agreed with Buckingham Palace in January 2020 not to use Her Royal Highness HR in official or commercial capacities. Reports as of 2025 suggest the couple have occasionally used or accepted informal HR styling in private contexts, sparking renewed debate on whether the 2020 agreement is being respected. These tensions reached a new pitch when Meghan Markle used HR in private written correspondence, reigniting public scrutiny. That controversy occurred after she and Harry had long ago given up active royal duties. Palace insiders observed at the time that while private usage may not technically violate the exit agreement, it clearly contradicted its spirit. Behind the scenes, Prince William has increasingly been portrayed by commentators and insiders as determined to modernize the monarchy's practices, particularly around the symbolism of titles. Several analyses published late in 2025 suggested William intends to remove princely and HR styles from all non-working royals once he becomes king, including ultimately Harry, Meghan, and potentially their children through letters patent early in his reign. Unlike the widely reported case of Prince Andrew, whose hereditary dukedom of York and peerage honours were formally removed under direct orders from King Charles III in 2025. No legal mechanism has yet been exercised against the Porter, Sussexes. Andrew's titles were removed via royal prerogative and letters patent following consultation with Cabinet Office officials, demonstrating a precedent for such actions short of full parliamentary legislation. Public debate has been a driving force. A significant portion of British opinion now supports tighter rules on royal title use, especially where former royals engage in commercial or media enterprises that might leverage their former official status. Some analysts point to news items highlighting Meghan's continued use of HR styling as evidence she and Harry have blurred boundaries originally intended by the Brexit agreement. Furthermore, proposed bills such as the Removal of Titles Bill introduced in late 2025 are designed to give Parliament, in consultation with the Crown, clearer legal authority to revoke these honours from individuals who no longer serve in official capacities. This would formalize powers that until now were exercised almost exclusively through letters patent and royal prerogative. As of the 29th of January 2026, critics on both sides of the royal debate are watching closely. Supporters of the reforms argue that a modern monarchy must ensure titles are tied to active service and duty, not commercial exploitation or celebrity branding. Opponents counter that such formal removals could be seen as vindictive or even risky politically, and point out that titles by birth historically require legislation or the sovereign's consent to change. When Prince Harry and Meghan Markle announced their decision to step back from royal duties in January 2020, few could have predicted the years of institutional, political, and emotional fallout that would follow. Dubbed Mexit by the press, the transition agreement brokered personally by Queen Elizabeth II was meant to strike a delicate balance, allow the couple independence while safeguarding the dignity and structure of the monarchy. The terms were clear at the time. Harry and Meghan would no longer receive public funds, would cease to undertake official royal duties on behalf of the Crown, and most significantly, would no longer use the style Her Royal Highness Ha in any official capacity. However, they would technically retain these titles along with their parentage, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, Earl and Countess of Dumbarton, and Baron and Baroness Kilkeel. Yet, from the very beginning, ambiguity shrouded enforcement. The palace allowed them to keep the HRH styles in name, but requested that they refrain from using them in public, official, or commercial settings. It was not a legal revocation, merely a mutual understanding based on trust, and over time, that trust began to fray. By 2023, Archewell, the couple's media and charitable foundation, had grown into a sprawling entity, drawing attention not only for its ambitions, but also its strategic branding that often blurred the line between private citizen and royal emissary. Though Harry and Meghan claimed their charity work was entirely independent of the monarchy, public confusion persisted. The tipping point came in 2025, when Meghan's correspondence with international charities and event organizers in Nigeria revealed the usage of HR styling in private documents. While not a direct violation of any UK law, this breach of the 2020 Spirit Agreement deeply rattled the palace. Even more concerning, several diplomatic channels, including visa authorities and government contacts, had processed Meghan's travel arrangements under the assumption that she was still a working royal figure. This is not about protocol. It's about principle, integrity, and the line between public service and personal gain, said a senior aide to Princess Anne in a statement leaked in October 2025. There can be no grey zone. You are either representing the Crown with full transparency or you are not. Behind closed doors, tensions rose between Prince William, now operating with increased authority as Prince of Wales and future king, and his younger brother. According to internal sources, William was deeply concerned that the Sussexes were creating a global image that implicitly relied on royal status while explicitly claiming independence. In a confidential palace briefing, Princess Anne reportedly demanded an internal audit of all Sussex-linked philanthropic and commercial ventures. The objective to identify every instance where royal affiliation may have been leveraged intentionally or otherwise for financial gain or diplomatic privilege. Archewell was front and centre. The investigation, quietly commissioned by Buckingham Palace but backed by external compliance advisors, was said to examine three key areas. 1. Event and speech engagements. Records showed that at least 14 invitations to Meghan and Harry had explicitly cited their royal titles in the opening salutation or event materials, raising concerns that hosts were misled. 2. Visa travel documentation. The Nigeria visit in particular revealed troubling inconsistencies. Local government authorities had granted diplomatic-level privileges based on a perceived connection to the royal family, including enhanced visa access and elevated security arrangements. Had they traveled as private citizens, these protocols would not have applied, one Nigerian official confirmed. 3. Charitable disbursements. Arkwell's own grant-making records, filed both in the US and UK, lacked uniformity. Several beneficiaries listed Arkwell's founders as Duke and Duchess in IRS and HMRC filings, triggering red flags with regulators. While not illegal, these mentions reinforce the optics that royal influence was being used to bolster credibility and access. By December 2025, Princess Anne, renowned for her no-nonsense discipline, demanded clarity. No one, no matter how famous or how hurt, has the right to act in a way that confuses the British people about who speaks for the Crown, she said during a rare appearance at Gatcombe Park. Simultaneously, Prince William began consulting with legal advisors and constitutional experts about invoking letters patent to limit the public usage of HR and clarify royal title boundaries. While the monarch alone holds the power to alter styles and titles, William, as future sovereign, has reportedly urged King Charles to prepare the necessary framework. Public opinion increasingly aligned with the palace. A YouGov poll conducted in January 2026 revealed that 61% of respondents believed Harry and Meghan should be stripped of all royal titles if they continue to operate as private figures outside royal control. In the next part of our feature, we will explore how Princess Anne and Prince William crafted a joint royal statement, unprecedented in tone and scope, to address these concerns, assert the Crown's values, and begin what insiders call the final clarification of royal representation in the 21st century. On the morning of the 23rd of January 2026, Buckingham Palace released a statement unlike any in recent royal history, signed jointly by Princess Anne and Prince William. It was measured, yet unmistakably firm, modern, yet rooted in centuries-old duty. Most strikingly, it was the first time in 2 generations that senior royals outside the reigning monarch publicly addressed a breach of trust from within the family. The opening paragraph wasted no time. As senior working members of the royal family, we are entrusted not only with tradition, but with the moral clarity expected by the British people. It is with deep regret that we acknowledge the sustained pattern of misrepresentation by the Duke and Duchess of Sussex in their use of royal association titles and privileges, particularly through the Arkwell Foundation and recent overseas engagements. The statement went on to outline 5 key declarations. The royal household does not recognize Archwell as a royal-endorsed charitable entity. All future press communications would reflect this clarification, and government departments were advised to avoid assumptions of affiliation. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle are no longer permitted to represent or speak on behalf of any Commonwealth-affiliated initiative. This clause, while ceremonial in nature, delivered a major blow to their global profile, especially following their controversial Nigeria visit, which had been widely interpreted as a pseudo-Commonwealth tour. A formal request was submitted to King Charles III to initiate the process of title review under the Royal Marriages Act and Letters Patent. Though not a direct removal, the move signaled an impending institutional correction, a potential path towards stripping the Sussexes of their Duke and Duchess status. The royal family's official charitable representation would be consolidated under a new entity, the Crown Service Foundation, chaired jointly by Princess Catherine and Princess Anne. The foundation would focus on children's welfare, veteran care, mental health, and climate action, distinctly echoing causes previously claimed by Archwell. An audit recommendation was passed to UK regulators and US partners regarding RQL's public disclosures, foreign donations, and use of HR styling. While framed as a due diligence step, insiders described this as a preemptive firewall against reputational liability. The tone of the statement, co-authored by two of the most respected figures in the royal family, carried particular weight. Princess Anne's signature signaled institutional consequence. Her reputation for impartiality, hard work, and zero tolerance for vanity made the message difficult to dismiss. William's name, by contrast, gave the statement the moral clarity of the future king, coupled with his role as protector of the crown's evolving public image. Public reaction. Finally, a royal response that speaks for us. Within hours, royal correspondence flooded the airwaves. Robert Hardman, one of the UK's leading royal historians, noted, "This is not a personal attack. This is a public health warning about confusion, misrepresentation, and the misuse of royal capital in a globalized media-saturated era." Social media lit up. Hashtags like #ProtectTheCrown and #RoyalLine drawn began trending, with public sentiment overwhelmingly in favor of the clarification. British veterans groups who had once supported Harry's Invictus Games released a polite but firm message backing the palace's move. Service and sacrifice must never be confused with celebrity. Meanwhile, a petition calling for the full revocation of the Sussex titles reached over 300,000 signatures within 48 hours. Across both sides of the Atlantic, public figures, historians, and former diplomats weighed in, many voicing concern that Harry and Meghan's actions blurred the constitutional divide between private citizens and public servants. Meghan and Harry's response, a defensive silence. For 2 full days, no response came from the Sussex camp. Then late in the evening of January 25, Arrol quietly updated the bios on its website. The phrase "members of the British royal family" was removed. So was the lineup supporting the Commonwealth. No apology, no clarification, just digital edits made in silence. But behind the scenes, the fallout was far from over. Netflix executives reportedly began reviewing language across all Sussex-tied content. A pending podcast episode meant to highlight Meghan's Nigerian trip was delayed indefinitely. Several PR firms distanced themselves from Arrowell's global brand. More strikingly, legal experts noted that the foundation's tax filings in the United States and charitable coordination documents in the UK would now face greater scrutiny, not as a matter of criminality, but of ethical representation. "Once you lose the presumption of transparency," said a former Charity Commission advisor, "donors start walking away fast." In 24, behind the public firmness of Princess Anne and Prince William's statement was a deeper, quieter alignment from King Charles III, a monarch known for his patience, now signaling quiet resolve. Those close to the king reported that the statement had his full knowledge and prior blessing, even if his name did not appear on it. It was not abdication of duty, but a delegation of enforcement. The king allowed the next generation to speak with the institutional voice. One royal courtier confided, "Charles is no stranger to public scrutiny. But when the monarchy itself is manipulated for private gain, he knows where the line must be drawn." In the days following the Anne William letter, Charles remained deliberately silent, holding no press conferences and issuing no palace memo. But his actions spoke volumes. He postponed a scheduled private phone call with Prince Harry, a conversation that had been set to discuss possible family reintegration. The call has not been rescheduled. Sources confirmed that a series of private meetings took place at Clarence House in Windsor Castle between January 24 and January 27. Attending were Princess Anne, representing the monarchy's institutional integrity, Prince William representing the future of the crown, Queen Camilla reportedly in attendance but non-participatory. Sir Clive Alderton, the King's private secretary, Lady Susan Hussey, called upon for her experience navigating crisis communication. The core topic was not just Harry and Meghan's conduct, but the monarchy's long-term strategy in the age of personal branding, digital ambiguity, and influencer politics. The consensus. The royal institution needed to reclaim clarity over who represents it and who does not. The Nigerian tour was a turning point, Anne reportedly told the group, not because it was malicious, but because it was unchecked. If we don't act now, we legitimize confusion. In Downser, the outcome of these meetings was the finalization of the Crown Service Foundation, which had been in confidential development for months, but now took center stage. Launched quietly on the 29th of January 2026 with no press fanfare, but a robust digital rollout, the Crown Service Foundation is the royal family's unified response to fractured representation. Chaired jointly by Princess Catherine and Princess Anne, the foundation is a structural consolidation of royal charitable efforts previously scattered across various initiatives, mission pillars. Children's welfare and education, including expansion of early learning programs started by Catherine. Veteran mental health, building upon Anne's decadal long work with military charities. Sustainable development and climate resilience in partnership with King Charles's long-standing environmental legacy. Commonwealth solidarity projects, reaffirming the monarchy's role as a symbol, not a sponsor, of cultural unity. What made this initiative stand out was not only its scope, but its governance model. All projects are audited, annually include independent oversight boards, and ban the use of personal titles or HR status in external branding. The goal, as one senior advisor put it, dignity without dependency, visibility without vanity. We are not content creators, Catherine said during the closed-door launch event. We are public servants, and every child, every veteran, every Commonwealth partner we meet deserves the full weight of our sincerity. Initial reception to the Crown Service Foundation was overwhelmingly positive. Media outlets across the UK praised its transparency. The Guardian called it a long overdue modernisation of royal service in an era of media distortion. The Times noted its launch was a quiet triumph of structure over spectacle. More importantly, the public responded not with applause, but with trust. A poll conducted by the British Public Affairs Council revealed 72% of Britons supported Anne and William's public statement. 68% said they were more likely to donate or volunteer with Crown-backed causes than Archewell-linked ones. 81% said Princess Catherine was the most trusted royal voice in public charity. One comment widely shared online summed up the mood. For years, we've watched royals play the media game. Catherine shows us what happens when a royal plays the long game. As the foundation soared, Archewell's decline accelerated. 3 major sponsors, 2 in the US and 1 UK-based philanthropic group, quietly withdrew funding from Arco by the end of January. A fourth, a global education NGO, released a statement of reassessment of partnership alignment. Meanwhile, Prince Harry's request for a formal audience with King Charles remained unanswered. According to insiders, his tone had shifted from assertive to increasingly desperate. But Charles was said to be focused on one principle. You cannot ask for sanctuary while burning the gates in until attraction. And Meghan, her team reportedly attempted to pitch a new docu-series to Amazon Prime in late January, framing it as a global citizen's quest for justice. It was rejected. The brand fatigue is real, said one Hollywood agent. They're losing credibility on both sides of the Atlantic. Number 2 was the royal household had not only won the public battle for moral clarity, but had quietly launched a formal legal operation behind the scenes. One that could change the future of Archewell and the remaining ties between Prince Harry, Meghan Markle, and the British monarchy. This was not just a family dispute. It had evolved into an international compliance matter with mounting evidence that the Archewell Foundation, while branded as a philanthropic entity, had engaged in serious breaches of transparency, misrepresented its partnerships, and benefited from unauthorized royal association. In a historic first, the Charity Commission for England and Wales, in coordination with the Internal Revenue Service, IRS, in the United States, launched a joint regulatory audit of Archwell. The trigger, a confidential evidence packet submitted by the royal household's legal advisory team with direct endorsement from Princess Anne, William, and the King's private office. Contained within the evidence, email correspondence showing Meghan's team billing Archwell-sponsored travel as royal engagements in official visa documentation for the Nigeria trip. Internal Archwell memos referencing HRH Meghan's Royal Tour Africa despite Meghan having no royal title entitlement and no crown endorsement for the trip. A document marked Fundraising Strategy Q4 2025 that described the plan to leverage Meghan's royal optics for celebrity endorsements, donor dinners, and digital campaigns. One line highlighted in red ink by Royal Counsel read, "Use residual HR brand value to position Archwell as the sole inheritor of Diana's humanitarian legacy." Thanks for watching. Now, heed of regging, Princess Catherine, when informed of this phrasing, reportedly responded with visible disappointment, but minimal words. "We do not inherit legacy through branding. We carry it through action." The heart of the audit centered on the controversial trip to Nigeria in late 2025. Originally marketed on Archwell's platform as a solidarity visit to women's education centers, the trip quickly escalated into controversy. Nigerian immigration officials now confirm that Harry and Meghan entered the country using diplomatic-level visas, typically reserved for official representatives of a sovereign government or affiliated humanitarian institution. These visas were facilitated, according to leaked communications, by a royal endorsement letter, a document later confirmed to have been signed not by any senior British official, but by an Archwell executive using royal letterhead from a 2020 event. The letter cited ongoing Crown-adjacent projects and UK-Nigeria cultural healing, phrases that blurred the lines between Archwell's private initiatives and royal statecraft. "We are treating this seriously," said an official at the UK Home Office. "It appears that royal prestige was weaponized to access privileges intended for sovereign diplomacy. If proven, this could violate the UK Honours Prevention of Abuses Act and US IRS charity misrepresentation laws, both carrying reputational and financial penalties." In a confidential memo was circulated within the royal household, signed jointly by Princess Anne and Prince Edward, and copied to King Charles and the Privy Council Office. The recommendation: suspend the Duke and Duchess of Sussex titles, pending the outcome of the audit. The rationale, according to the memo, continued misuse of the Duke-Duchess titles in Archwell fundraising and merchandising, public confusion over institutional representation, ongoing legal scrutiny that directly conflicts with the Crown's standards of charitable conduct. "We are guardians of the Crown, not its influencers," the memo read. "To allow title holders to operate under the guise of royal trust while defying royal duty is to erode the Crown from within. Do not test." William reportedly supported the move, but insisted that any announcement be made post-audit to avoid claims of emotional retaliation during a legal process. Initially, Prince Harry responded with fury. He contacted a BBC journalist privately, claiming, "They're trying to erase us because we built something that works. Things." After word of the title suspension memo leaked, Harry reportedly cancelled all press appearances and instructed his legal team to request a confidential mediation session with the Privy Council. Insiders say Harry is now facing intense pressure from his US legal advisors, many of whom fear that continued entanglement with royal branding could trigger IRS revocation of Archwell's 501c3 status. His lawyers have requested to negotiate separation terms, hinting that Harry may be willing to relinquish his title voluntarily in exchange for a clear line between Archwell and the monarchy. Meghan Markle, once the vocal figurehead of Archwell's vision, has gone noticeably silent since the audit began. Her official Instagram account has not posted since January 29. Sources within her communications team say she is re-evaluating forward-facing roles. End quote. Hollywood insiders report that several production partners, especially those linked to Netflix and Spotify, have paused all projects pending legal clearance from Archwell. An agent familiar with Meghan's brand admitted the royal connection was the core asset. If that goes, she's left with a personal story that's been told too many times and believed less and less. Buckingham Palace released a statement of record. It was brief, unambiguous, and in tone more surgical than sentimental. Following an extensive independent audit and CROSPA review of branding, financial compliance, and public representation, Their Majesties, the King and Council hereby declare that the use of the titles Duke and Duchess of Sussex and any related royal styling or association shall be suspended indefinitely. That said, thanks for watching. Effective immediately, Harry and Meghan were no longer permitted to refer to themselves in any form of media, legal documentation, or philanthropic work as royal representatives, or use HR, Sussex, or any related insignia. For the House of Windsor, it was the culmination of a quiet but methodical internal strategy led by Princess Anne and endorsed firmly by Prince William. For Harry and Meghan, it was the final disconnection of the only currency they had left, proximity to the crown. The official audit report, compiled by a joint UK-US commission and reviewed by the Charity Commission and IRS, was released within the hour. It confirmed multiple findings that had already surfaced in leaks and internal royal investigation documents. Archwell had misrepresented donor funds through unreported consulting fees tied to Meghan's personal brand advisors. Multiple international travel events were wrongly classified as humanitarian missions, when in fact they were sponsored content negotiations or luxury appearances. At least 2 charity initiatives billed as Crown-aligned were found to be personal ventures launched to secure influencer contracts. Most damning of all, the report cited clear violations of Section 4958 of the U.S. Internal Revenue Code, which governs private insurance, whereby non-profit insiders benefit unduly from their organization's assets. The IRS had frozen Archwell's accounts pending a full financial review, and the UK's Charity Commission had launched proceedings to register Archwell UK as a recognised charitable entity. While King Charles III did not speak publicly, a palace aide confirmed to the Times that the final decision bore his signature. The king wanted to allow every opportunity for discretion and correction, but when institutional abuse of trust is evident, the Crown must act. This was a matter of precedent, not punishment. Privately, Charles is said to have confided to Queen Camilla and Princess Anne. What they borrowed, they could have earned, but they chose shortcuts. That is not the Windsor way. Inflated 200. As the Sussex titles were erased from royal registers, Princess Anne and Princess Catherine stood side by side at Windsor Guildhall to unveil a new Crown initiative, the Royal Humanitarian Charter of 2026. The initiative formalized clear royal representation guidelines and established a new royal body titled the Crown Service Alliance, a globally recognized framework through which legitimate royal engagements are coordinated, tracked, and audited in real time. Anne, in her address, emphasized, the privilege of public trust is not granted by name nor inherited by marriage. It is earned hour by hour, action by action. Catherine added, this charter is not about exclusion, it is about integrity. It is a promise to every child, every widow, every struggling voice we represent that our service to them will never be used as a stepping stone to personal fame. The public reception was overwhelming. Thousands gathered outside the palace, holding up signs that read, "Real Royals Serve," and "William and Catherine, Trust Restored." Social media lit up across the globe. Number Royal Integrity trended in 34 countries. Within 48 hours, Netflix announced it was formally ending its development slate with Meghan Markle, citing strategic redirection following reputational review. Tense Spotify released a short statement confirming that all archetypes-related intellectual property had reverted to the platform. US immigration authorities confirmed that Harry's green card status was under reassessment following questions about financial disclosures and tax residency inconsistencies tied to Archewell. And most telling, Meghan's legal team formally withdrew a pending trademark application for Arwell Royal, signaling the end of their branding campaign tied to any royal identity. Sources close to Meghan say she is now in crisis talks with her business managers, while Harry is reportedly isolated, confused, and unsure where to go next. According to one Montecito neighbor, their estate is quiet. The Range Rover hasn't moved. It's like they vanished overnight. To get for the royal family, this was never about vengeance. It was about defending centuries of service-based legacy from modern manipulation. Princess Anne summarized the moment best during her final remarks at the Windsor event. "If we are to be called royals, let it be for the duty we perform, not the titles we claim. Let it be for how we serve, not how we sell." And so ended a chapter, not with a war of words, but with a strategic, irrevocable severance. The crown stood, the pretenders fell, and a new era of authentic royal service had begun. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe, comment your thoughts.